I think we should start with the Electrify Solid. It's it's kind of a new lower end ball for me. It is, with it having a RG a little bit lower than the Hustles. For me, it's a little earlier than the Hustles and definitely smoother down the lane. So I actually got to use it on a Tuesday night in our sport league, using it on Cheetah. I went the opposite way from how I usually bowl Cheetah. I usually kind of use the really strong ball and really try to tumble it. But, you know, I figured I'd try this ball out, and I overall I did pretty well. I had I think I had 680 the back three. I felt like it was it was definitely a good option. The Hustles for me, like an ink, would probably have been too angular off the spot. Whereas this one at least bled and was a little smoother with it being low RG. What were your thoughts, Chris, from what you've seen? I know you'd used it just a little bit.
I did use it a little bit, but I got a chance to go down to the ITRC and bowl on a few different patterns. The one that we're going to show video from is from the 2019 Masters pattern. So for those of you who think that we bowl and everything easy all the time, you'll see that is not the case in this. And it had some traffic on it, so the out was already pretty much dead. But I drilled a 2-inch pin to kind of play into what you were talking about. It's so I wanted.
Here's one where you went a little bit to the right.
That you know, I could keep control of and play to the right, and kind of fit in a zone where I didn't have a lot of balls in that zone, and it continued pretty well. The ITRC is not a great place to create back end motion anyway, and I was pretty happy with it. It's going to make the bag, and I'm looking forward to it on these shorter patterns, and you know, maybe even Lubbock, where I've had a little luck playing to the right.
Yeah, definitely. I could see that. For me, it's not. I don't think it's going to be a ball I'm going to use on something as long as Lubbock. Not really the reaction I'm looking for, but I used it on a. There we go. So I was using it on our house shot. They were a little bit beat up by this stage because I'd thrown some stronger balls. There's a couple of shots in here that I throw that I'm like, wow, that's amazing, and it strikes. And then there's a couple of shots that I'm like, oh my days, that's awful. And they still strike. So it's definitely a ball for me that, like I say, is a little more controllable in the Hustles early on. Yeah, that was a nice one. It definitely blends a little bit more down the lane. There we go. Turn my back on that one. High flush. That wasn't a Belmo. That was a Disgust. But yeah, in general, like for me, it's a pretty good option down the bag. I like I say, I feel like it's going to be a ball that is more of a fresh ball, which seems weird, but I don't really see this being a ball I'm going to use much in transition.
I'm
going to use it as like when I need something to use early, like I need a weaker ball early is more how I see this ball. I think I've got better options once the oil gets down the lane, such as Hustle Ink, Hustle Camo, Afterburners, Burners maybe once I get the option, something that's a little more aggressive down the lane. But as something at the start, I feel like those balls come off the spot a little bit too hard to use on fresh. So if I need something in that range, I feel like this Electrify Solid is going to give me a much better option. Hi, Mike. It's the Electrify Solid. He says, what ball was it? Yeah, Electrify Solid.
Yeah, I agree. I think, and it also based off a little bit of what you're talking about, but it does feel like it's a clean cover, so it gets to the front. So if you bowl in a place where they have where the lane's a little bit beat up, and you feel like, you know, they get a little wet dry, and you're one of the players that doesn't want to really chase it real far left, I think this is a ball that'll let you stay in that zone. It rolls a lot in the mid lane, which is the part I really liked. It got through the front easy, and then it continued. So where there's a lot of the balls down, like say Hustle Links and those, they really come around the corner hard, which then forces you further left. And if you don't want to move further left, either because that's your choice in like a league situation, or in our case where you want to stay to the right and stay away from the traffic because either the pattern doesn't let you move left. I think this is a ball that lets you do some of those things. And I actually, I'm pleasantly surprised, actually. I didn't expect to really love this ball. I wasn't sure it really had a spot in my bag. I have liked IQ Emeralds and some Hustle Inks and balls like that down there, but there's certainly, that's a different shape. And so in that 6-ball thing that I talk about is a dry control ball, this ball fits 100% for me in that dry control range where I can play on a short pattern. I can play on something that's kind of hard and keep the ball in front of me without having to over manipulate or overthrow it to do it.
Yeah, like you were saying about the Masters, there's been a couple of years where the Masters has actually played a lot drier. And if I had one of those options, I might even have hit this with a little bit of surface to try and keep it really just keep it on line, kind of freeze it in there. So yeah, definitely an interesting option for both slower speed players and tournament players for something further down the bag.